Hey, welcome back to Nilly's Bonsai. Hope you're doing well. Today I just want to share a quick one with you. Not really going to be doing much. I've just noticed a few of these little pines I wired up are ready to take the wire off, and we've got some really crazy movement there, so we'll come back to those in a sec. There's a few other Scots pines there as well that I'm doing various things with. There's one there that I'm going to do a bit of a cascade with. I'm not really that keen on them, so I thought, well, we'd best have a go at one. So we'll have a little go with that one. It's kind of lent itself to it. Quite a thick branch there. Should have maybe used a raffia, but I don't think I've damaged the bark there at all. This crazy one here, it was just a bit dead straight, nothing really going on. These are things I'd had from seedlings for ages and kind of never got around to doing much with. So I chopped it back earlier in the year, probably a bit early because it did bleed a little bit, but I've got a new bud there, just at the side, and then with this branch I've just created some movement. I thought that could look quite interesting. I didn't want to leave it too late because if there's a chance of healing that wound, then let's get it out of the way, work on another section and then carry on up again. So that one's quite cool, but although quite small and insignificant at this point. Another one at the back there, I'll just put some kind of movement in. It's going to be a larger tree. And I did think a couple of these were like our Corsican black pine, but I think looking at the buds, they're maybe all Scots pine, so it's quite hard to tell because they've been allowed to grow quite freely and vigorous and fed. The needles are large, and there's not much of a giveaway there. I did think some of them were black pines, and I may still be mistaken, but the buds are all the same on them, and the bark's very much the same. So, but like I say, seedling grown probably about 5-6 years ago, and just kind of left. At the back there is a Monterey pine I grew from seed. Again, quite big needles at the moment, but this year's flush has stayed small. All them little branches there, they really have got branches everywhere and low down, so that's good. And just set some movement in there that I'm going to take that wire off today as well. And also take this opportunity just to show you some other cement pots that I've made, kind of aimed at pines, and maybe a pine forest there, and maybe a pine forest, cedar forest, or even a deciduous tree at the back one there. Just thought it was a cool one maybe to show you. Well, I won't bore you with all of these because it's going to be much the same, the process, but I did want to kind of share with you what I've done with these at an early stage. These are probably the 3rd year old now, I think. I've got so many plants, I do forget a little bit, but the wire is quite loose on there, so I'm aware of that, but that was not, so I wouldn't damage it when I was creating those bends. And as you can see, this has got some crazy movement in there. Maybe too much in such a small area. I do want to keep these small and do some kind of little mini literati style trees, so we'll just continue to keep creating these bends as we go up, I think, with these. That's a little experiment I'm doing. I've got some much larger pine material I bought off someone, not ever for bonsai. He just had a couple of lodgepole pines, kind of larger ones. They are nice shapes at the bottom, but they're very limited to what you can do with them now, so it's good to have some pines young on the go, a bit more impressionable. So there's that one. This one here as well. Bit of a coil in a way, although it does change a little bit towards the top there and it's leaning. I just wanted to see how far we could push these, and they've responded really well. The wire's swelling up. These have probably only been on, they were sort of mid-season, so it's probably a little bit late to get it on, but when you get 5 minutes, it's always worth using it. There's another one there. Very similar kind of design. I have these kind of fads, so I'll do a few, come away from it. When I'm randomising these little ones to see what will come out in the long run as they thicken up, I want to kind of experiment, so we do a few. And then this is one I've done recently, as I've taken wire off of some of these, just reusing it on another piece, and that could happily sit there now all winter, knowing that this isn't going to swell up, and it should hold the movement nicely when we come to take that off. It's slightly different, that one, a little bit of an S shape, quite interesting. And like I say, there's buds here that I carefully went round as well, so there's lots of options of these. I'm just going to kind of continue these on, and maybe in the future, certainly like this Monterey pine here, maybe you just use that to give yourself an easy cascade or something, and come off of there. You see maybe that bud, or I know some of the other ones I've done have got buds right down, you know, to these points. So yeah, it's good to set some movement in them now. Right, let's unwire one of these. Let's go for this one because this is quite an interesting shape. I actually like to see this with the wire off. This may be one of the ones where you actually see me cut wire. I don't like to waste it, and it's not so much about the waste, it's little pieces of the wire never get to the right place in the end, do they? They just get lost or bend off. And why throw money away when it's easy to straighten out? And we certainly don't want the wire biting in too hard on these. With this amount of movement in there, it's not going to help you out. And of course I probably could have trimmed a few of those needles off as well. But if you can work around what you've got there without damaging it, then do so at this young age. I want this tree to hang on to all the vigour it's got, and them needles are definitely going to help sustain that. One last piece there. And it's held it exactly how we set it. So I'm really happy with that shape there. Look at that, all that movement in such a small little tree. Obviously these needles are large, but this is still a young tree with vigour, so they will come down. And maybe we don't keep it quite this small, but we've got a very interesting bottom there. But a little job that we can be getting on with at the moment as well is just keeping pines clear of all this previous year's needles there that are yellowing off now. And keep them, you know, tidy them out, and then any buds that are in there, kind of make way for them in spring. And those of you that have been watching my videos for a while will remember these white pines here. Well, as promised, I said we'd have a little look at the other pots I've been making. These are all just concrete pots. Got a bit of a bug for it now. If you haven't done and you're interested in how I made these kind of pots, then go back and have a little look at my video on that. But yeah, like I say, it's become a little bit of an addiction for me while the weather's good, making these. We've got various different styles here. So I've made this one, ideally obviously for a group planting or a little forest. I'm giving it a rough texture as well. So it's quite, you know, quite coarse, but very interested when painted up. Like I say, it looks quite rough, but really it's a uniform pot and just with a nice texture. And that's that one. It's a good size as well, quite ambitious, that one. That was just black, and then I've brushed some copper over it. Maybe brown paint would have worked better and it would have looked really nice for a pine, but these are all experimental at the moment. So this one I'm really pleased with, although I didn't make a mould for the bottom, or a guide if you like, so the edges came out a bit thin, but I think it kind of looks like it should be like that, in a weird way. And it really does have a real quality feel to it, this one. And the style there looks quite Japanese as well. I'm really happy with that. And I've just sponged that one over at the end to kind of get that dragged effect on it. And this reinforcement as well, this is what I've added on after inside again, just to bolster these edges. You know, 'cause I was a little bit wary of how thin they looked, but no, it seems like quite a good pot. It's got a good ring to it as well when you pick it up and tap it. For a concrete pot, it's quite deceptive. Another one of those kind of, I'd say is definitely going to be for a pine tree really, just because of the texture. You know, a pine, a spruce or a cedar might look really nice in these, so hence why I've, you know, brought them along to show you in this video. And this one was completely freehand, not even sand inside. Very experimental, this one. And I've just painted it with a copper paint. It might look a bit garish. I intend to add some more colours to this at some point, with some highlights. And then at the bottom I've continued the same thing. So it's a very unique looking pot, that one. I must add as well, all these pots, there's only one in the world, and they're sitting on these benches. So it's pretty cool, that rewarding, you know. You've grown the plant from seed and you've made the pot. and then eventually you'll make the bonsai and it'll all come together. So very rewarding way of going about it. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed that. Be sure to give us a like and a subscribe if you haven't already, and keep an eye out in spring where we'll be doing something with these concrete pots that I've made.